Growing up, we were told to go to school. After we go to school, that means that not just school, not just high school, that means going to college. After going to college, we would end up getting a good job and we would end up, having enough money to provide for ourselves, our families, and everything like that. But nowadays, we've come to find out that a max amount of money you can actually make a year, not a month. A year is mostly either 200,000 being like a doctor or some other position like that. And like some degrees they don't even make money anymore. Like we used to find out that degrees like computer science was killing it, but nowadays computer science majors they literally work in either McDonald's or they do something else. They work security. So all of those things were a lie. Like the most amount of money you can work having a job is literally around 200 to 300. If you get lucky to get $300,000 a year, right? But what we've come to find out is that most people on the internet are literally making that amount of money in a week, sometimes in a day. You know, there's so much ways to make money online nowadays that most people ask themselves, what's the point of ever going to school? What's the point of getting an education, right? Is is school useless? Because there are people who they don't have an education, they never went to the same college that you went to, but they make more money than you, right? Some people would also say go into blue collar. Blue collar will make you a lot of money. Well, in my opinion, blue collar could mess your body up. Like if you ask anybody who works blue collar, like they'll tell you, like it's with white collar, it's always a mental stress, but with blue collar is a physical stress. Like if you're working construction, right? You're hammering nails all day. You're you're breaking bricks, wood. You probably have to stand for 12 hours straight. Like it's literally a very very hard profession, right? And in some white collars jobs, it's always a mental strain, right? You don't know if you're ever gonna be fired, and what happens if you get fired, right? It's not easy for white collar jobs to look for a new job or find a new job, you know. And the best professions in white collar, right? Like let's say the best professions in white collar are usually doctors. Sometimes there are financial majors who are literally they do good basically, but it's rare. You have to go to a Ivy League school, right? Um, Speaking about that, right? I feel like education is not really important nowadays. Education is only important if you're going to the best colleges, the best university, Ivy League school, Brown's University. If you're going to Stanford, which is not Ivy League, but if you're going to those schools, right, and you're only getting degrees in the best things, your degree has to make you at least 200,000 or more. $100,000 a year. You can't even rent a place in places like California with $100,000 a year, and this is sad. So what's the point of all that? You know, you have to go be a doctor or something like that, and it's gonna take a lot of years. Doctors you usually are in school for 10 years straight. Imagine 10 years of your life after high school, right? And you have to you have to go through exams, go through very low pay, and then at the end of the day, you end up becoming a doctor, and all you make is what $200,000 a year. And then one day you're going to the store and you see this 18-year-old kid and he's driving a Ferrari, and you ask yourself, man, I wish I took my youth serious, or I wish I found other avenues, right? Because let's be honest, right? Intelligence isn't really, intelligence isn't really, oh, book smart. Intelligence is seeing the trends. I think like that's what intelligence means, right? Because book smart is a different kind of intelligence. You're able to have photographic memories, book smart, and all that, but you can show a doctor, right, a stock chart, and they will probably not understand what's going on, right? But then a doctor will show you like some biology, mathematics, and you probably won't understand what's going on, right? But those are two different types of intelligence, right? But sometimes intelligence is being able to understand or being able to critically think quickly and analyze everything that you see, right? That's what I feel like education should be. If you're going to school for anything, you should be going to school to be able to be a critical thinker, right? That would get you farther in the world, right? Everything else you don't need to go to school for. Like there are degrees out here that is literally pointless. Like you make $50,000 a year, if you even see $50,000 a year. You know, there's some jobs out here that's paying you $15 an hour. That's crazy. Like think about that. $15 an hour when the average rent is over $4,000, right? You know, groceries. You're buying a bottle of water for almost $7 a pop. Like that's not how to live. You know, so that's why I feel like, what's the point of education, right? The only point of education is to go get those top degrees. You can't have a kid nowadays, and you can't have your kid nowadays and send him to school to go do stuff like sociology. Well, maybe some sociology may just make a lot of money, or fine arts, right? Back in the days, that would make you a lot of money. If you got a degree in fine arts, right, you'd be able to create some exquisite artwork that you'd be making a lot of money off of. But nowadays, AI is beating you. AI is beating you for that. So, so everything changes, right? The world changes. That's why I feel like if you had a kid nowadays, the best thing you can do for a kid is to buy a course, learn something online, learn how to run stocks, right? Learn how to do things online that'll make you money. Have an online store. All these things are way better than, oh, I went to an Ivy League school. I studied computer science at an Ivy League school. Like all you make a year is 100,000, and you be the same person who would watch that 18-year-old kid who got out of high school and started focusing on doing stock trading, opened an online business, has a YouTube channel, has a course, and they're teaching people stuff online. All those people, those kids who are learning all that, that's supposed to be the future. That's supposed to be what you do, what you have your kid doing. Like teach them young how to how to look at the charts of stocks, options, all of those things, right? Like trade, what the S&P 500 is, EFTs. That right there is the best information, right, to have nowadays, because everything else is just, it's just false hope, you know. So, or or you could you could either become a politician and do some little insider trading if you want to, like Those people make probably a lot of money. Imagine you're a politician, right? And you're able to and you only go to school for like a political science major, right? And you make over $200 million, right? And you're coming out here and telling the average person that the rich people are the problem while you're driving in your private jets and living your best life. Like that's the kind of world that we live in nowadays. And so that has to stop, right? It has to be on the next generation to pick the right choices, to make the right choices, to do what's necessary to grow the world, right? Obviously, there has to be blue collar workers, but you never know, right? There could be a kid who is born tomorrow who will be able to create robots and have AI, put AI in robots that could hammer better than a human being, right? Or make a tool that is able to hammer a nail into like a nail gun. Like somebody created that, that probably took the jobs of so many people, right? So you have to be willing to see the trends, to understand that the world is going in different places and the new world is making money online, right? Teach yourself how to make money online. Teach your kids how to make money online. You know, um, school is necessary. If you do happen to have your kid, teach your kid like how to make money online. To get to that point after they turn 18 and they're making lots and lots of money, and they actually want to attend college. They can attend college, but what would be the point at that point? What would be the point of becoming a doctor? What would be the point of going to school and maybe becoming a plumber, right? When you're driving a Ferrari and you're making literally millions a month off of social media, or off of profiting on some online businesses, right? You know, so some people, right? Some people are gifted like that. They you know, I always think about it growing up, right? You see the kids who are very smart at mathematics, right? You see the kids who have straight A's. Where are they now? They're probably behind the desk, slaving their lives away. 40-hour shifts a year. I mean, 40-hour shifts a week, They can't even have free time, right? And the thing about having a job is, your boss, in the American culture that we live in today, your boss could literally ask you to kick rocks. Do you know on like how embarrassing that would be when your boss says, you know what, I want to buy this new pair of watch. I just, just gonna fire 30,000 people so I can buy this new watch. Or I had a bad day today. I'm just gonna fire the whole, technology team, right? Or the HR lady just all of a sudden feels like you need to get fired over some shit, some stuff you should be forgiven for, right? That's a job, right? And some of these jobs, you have to be loyal. You have to be like a little robot. They tell you what to do, they tell you what to say. You're not yourself. You're being controlled 24/7, you know? Like some jobs, you have to sign NDAs. Do you even know what an NDA is? Like, you sign an NDA for what? You know, like, so they can sue you and make money off of you? Like, that's crazy, you know? Like, some jobs don't even give you vacation time. You can't even have vacation to take your family out, you know? That sucks. Like, a job is the worst thing you can have. You're a little robot. an AI robot, a better AI robot, to say, you know, with no free time, you must come to work 40 hours a week. And if we need you for overtime to keep you for 14 hours a day, we will. If we have to keep you for 16 hours a day, we will. And you will do it if you like your job, or if not, you can kick rocks. Like, I don't know why, you know, the perfect, the perfect, um, in a perfect world, we should get rid of that you're fired type of thing, right? You should only be fired if you, let's say, you harm your coworkers. That should be it. What's the point of getting fired from a job, you know, when it's not even easy to find a job? And just speaking of that, it's not even easy to find a job. You know, you're competing with a lot of people. I didn't even know that there were this much people in the world who 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 are signing up for the same one job application. Like, you know, like you're competing with the entire population for a desk job that only pays $20 an hour. That sucks. You know, that shouldn't be what life that shouldn't be what life is supposed to be. Like there's no hope. There's no hope. And everything is getting more expensive. And there's no stopping it. You know. The only hope is to figure out how you could build things yourself. The only hope is to figure out, you know, what people are doing that you don't, because there's some rules to this world that most people don't know. Most people don't know because they don't pay attention, right? Like some people who are doing stocks, like they listen to everything. They'll listen to Trump speak, and Trump will give them some information on some stuff, and all of a sudden you see the stock rise up and the stock fall, and they'll make millions of dollars based off of just listen to information, right? This world is meant to block out your information. There's too much entertainment out there for people. Like, you know, you have a big screen TV, you're always either watching TV, you're always either playing video games, uh, you're watching football, NFL. You're not paying attention to information, you're not paying attention to the details of life. You know, you're missing out on the important things, and that's not how life is supposed to be, you know. So so how does so moving forward, right? How would a person who just turned 18 structure their life to make money? Because we are talking about money, right? How do you make money in today's world? In today's world, knowing that jobs are trash, education does not guarantee anything. It doesn't guarantee you getting that job, right? You could graduate with your degree and not get that job for your degree. You're working somewhere else, or you're working in McDonald's, having a whole master's degree. All the money that you paid for your master's degree, guess who enjoys that? The school that you went to. They enjoy the money that you spent paying your master's degree. All the tests that you took, all the homeworks that you write doesn't mean anything. It was just a waste of time, which is sad to say, right? You know, overcoming distractions in the world. Like everybody wants to watch TV. Everybody wants to, you know, listen to the new upcoming Taylor Swift album, listen to music. They're not paying attention to anything else, you know, and that's sad, you know. If I was a kid growing up nowadays, I would I would tell my parents this: look for the new educational system should be online training, like courses online that teaches you how to make money. Everybody always thinks that some of these courses are a scam, and that's true. Some of them could be a scam, but if they were a scam, right, you would see comments of people who um who are telling you that they were a scam, and they would probably be reported for fraud, right? So sometimes some are scams and some are not. You have to do your verification to make sure that that's not a scam. And I feel like schools in the future would be that, right? Schools in the future would be people with courses who are teaching people how to make money, right? That should be, as an 18-year-old kid, that should be where your focus should be on, right? If you're very smart, right? Because nowadays, the best degree, according to Google search and all of those, is not computer science. You're gonna work in a fast food restaurant. You're gonna be cleaning toilets. You're never gonna be a coder or whatever you think that is, because the world does not use coding anymore. AI does that for you. AI makes the websites. AI organize the files. You learning, oh yeah, I can press, control V, control C, you know, on your computer screen, or do or alt something on your Excel tab does not mean anything in the world, right? It's good to have that knowledge and that information, right? But it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, right? What you should learn would be, what is the ups and downs of a stock chart, you know? How can I scale my online business? And the best time to learn all that information is now, right? Because this is in this world, time is the most valuable asset. Before you know it, you turn 25, and it's so instantly quick. It's like it's tomorrow, like it's instantly quick in how we age. And people don't live to 70 anymore. If you haven't noticed, people only live to probably like 50s, their 50s, maybe their 60s if they're lucky, maybe their 40s. Like, we're seeing celebrities die every single day, and that makes the world the news. But what about people around us, right? We don't pay attention to the people around us who they're probably dying out there. You know, there are more people who are dying in the world than regular celebrities are dying, but we don't pay attention to that, right? So, what you do now, what you do instantly matters the most. If you guys are young and you're listening to this, make sure that you make the right decisions in life. If you want to go be a doctor and that's your passion, then do it, because we always need doctors in the world. We always need nurses in the world. We always need people who are in blue collar jobs. But how long, how long before, you know, how long before you see that kid driving that Ferrari, right? He's driving on the streets, mugging you or something like that. How long before you see that and you think to yourself, man, I wish I would have maybe, buy that online course to learn this, to learn that, you know. That's what I would tell if I had a kid, that's what I would tell him, you know, that this is what they should do, right? Learn all the stuff online, because that's where the money is, you know. And sometimes, like growing up, I was always seeing that the money would be in this large corporations, right? But they're literally people who are regular people who have more money than literal corporations. You know, the Logan Paul is a billionaire. How many companies actually have $1 billion? Not a lot, right? But there are people out there who makes lots and lots of money, right? So the Kylie Jenner is a billionaire, And another thing is this, like if we go back to the previous episode, status is king, right? That was my number 2 point. Um, Status could lead you a lot of places, right? Status could open lots of doors for you, and status is fame, your online fame, because this thing that we're using online, um, this is a weapon, you know. If you think about like politicians back in the day, they never had a weapon like this. Like this online thing, the ability to reach anybody out there in the world. This is a kind of weapon in which, not a lot of people have ever in the human race have ever, you know, utilized this kind of weapon. And if you think about it, right? Not much people in the world know how to, utilize the online skills. Not most people in the world know how to utilize online, the internet, right? Like it's a rare thing. So if you start today, you could be one of those people um who could be, the next I Show Speed, who could be the next Kai Sinet. It doesn't have to be only two of them, right? You know, I'm still waiting on somebody else to become that popular, and anybody can do it. Anybody can pick up a microphone. Anybody could pick up a computer and record themselves, record their voice. There are people actually doing that in the world, and they don't have to work a 9 to 5 a day in their life, you know, and that's very valuable. And if you don't think money is king, when you go to a club, right, the people who have money, no matter how ugly they are or how weird they look, what do they always have? They always have the women, right? You would always see an ugly guy. Me and my friends will always see this guy. He's not the best looking, right? But he has a pretty thing right next to him, right? And the only answer to why he has that is because he has money. Money is king, you know. So some people can choose to live their life not chasing money. Some people can choose to live blind in the world, right? But then if you do happen to choose, it's basically the blue pill or the red pill. Um, I forgot how this went, but the blue pill means that you can see this matrix, you can see everything that's going on, and then the red pill, I think it is. You guys can correct me in the comments. Means that the red pill is that you can go back to your old life and you could follow rules, follow directions, go to work, and be treated like that AI robot who you're supposed to be nice to people who you don't even know, who you don't even want to be nice to. You have to follow instructions, and the company could say anytime, any day, you're fired. We no longer want your services, right? And that shouldn't be how the world works. It's better to always be your own boss, right? But I would always take that blue pill, right? Because even if you struggle in with the blue pill route, if you get to a place where you're making 72, let's say you make like 72,000, or let's say you make 100,000, right? The person, let's say one person makes 72,000 and one person makes 100,000, right? The person who makes, and then the person who makes 72,000, they don't have a boss. They make their money from being their own boss, self-employed. And then the person who makes 100,000 has a good job, right? The person who makes 72,000 would always be happier than the person who makes 100,000. Why is that? Well, less stress. They can go wherever they want. They can do whatever they want. There's no one who's telling them clean the floors after your shift, even though you have a degree in your back pocket. You know, it's like the company doesn't even want to hire janitors. They make you guys clean the floors. You guys who have the degrees, that shouldn't be the way stuff should be, right? And the person who, has $72,000, they can go to the beach on a random Monday morning, right? If they want to. And they could sleep on the beach for hours and hours. And they don't have to worry about anything because they're receiving passive income on the back end, right? And speaking of passive income, the best way to make money in this world is to have money, is to be making money while you sleep, right? While you sleep is the best way to make money in this world. Um, but also you have to scale it because if the money is always stagnant, right, you're always making while you sleep money and it never grows, then obviously the world will come to it'll come to a point where you know like that money will not be the same, right? Because if you don't know, right, um the world keeps getting more expensive. It's not cheap anymore, right? So this is just um quick knowledge for you guys to have, you know. Okay, so next episode we will be talking about looks, right? We'll be talking about how to get lean, why being lean matters, um, and how your health and all that, um, how that helps you out in the world. Okay, so I want you guys to leave a like, leave a subscribe button if you actually like doing this. If you actually liked my liked or picked up some knowledge of what I'm dishing out, and hope you guys have a nice day. See you in the next episode.